Hey y'all, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm super excited to share with you all today a little bit about just owning your time as a CEO and this being super, super important. Let me just pause the YouTube on my side. All right, since it's double streaming for me. So if you are live with us on YouTube, um, go ahead and just type a one in the chat so I can see you. Or at least know that you're over there hanging out with us. And again, if you have questions, just pop it in the chat and we'll talk about it. So I'm going to share a little bit with you all about the importance of owning your time. And this conversation is not just for mental health professionals, although that's typically who I am speaking with. I do want to talk about why boundaries, a couple things, why boundaries, if I can say that word, are a CEO's best friend, y'all. And just a few things. People are always asking me, like, Ajetta, how do you get so much done? Or how are you doing all the things? And I always will reply and say, I don't. And that I think is so, so important is that I actually don't do all the things and neither should you, right? And I think that piece is so important. I'm kind of just checking the comments here. You guys are on Zoom. Some of you are on Zoom with me. Um, but I don't do all the things by any stretch of the imagination, right? And neither should you. And it's the reason that we often feel like we're out of scope and that we often feel overextended because we are attempting to do things that are actually not in our zone of genius. And so how does that show up as a CEO? How does it actually impact negatively your business, right? Um, and so that's one of the things that I want to talk about. How you can recognize it and then what do you do about it, right? And then from a boundary perspective, which really leads to time freedom. I think that's one of the things that we don't often talk about, right? Um, so that we have to really get a grapple on because it absolutely compromises our business, right? And your energy, your creativity. I say all the time that a rested brain is a creative brain, right? And we don't often honor that. And then we're takes us longer to do certain tasks, right? Um, hold on, y'all, just one second. We're gonna have to, someone says they can't hear me. Can you, if you all are on YouTube, can you comment yes if you can hear me and see me? We want to make sure that we have folks that can hear because I was getting an echo. Let me just double check and see. Okay, we have a couple people that are saying yes. All right, so if you're having difficulties hearing me, just check to make sure that your speaker is actually turned on. And I know that that seems silly, but it happens to the best of us. So anyways, for those of you that I've not had the privilege of meeting, I'm Dr. Jetta. I am a group practice owner. I'm also a consultant and speaker, and I own a billing agency. And so I have had the privilege of leading an amazing team, scaling a clinical practice to eight figures, while also creating access, right? And scaling my two other businesses to seven-figure brands as well. And so today we're really kind of talking about something that I think changed the game for me as a CEO, and that has helped a lot of my clients. And it really changed the game for me, not only as a CEO, but also as well, there's always something happening. Can you all hear me? Goodness gracious, my screen turned off on my side, y'all. All right, so technology is always teching. So let me start again. Again, I'm Dr. Jetta Robinson, income strategist for mental health professionals. I lead a group practice that I've scaled to eight figures while also creating access for the community, creating equitable pay scales for my team. I have a speaking and consulting brand where I also provide income strategy for mental health professionals that want to leverage their skills beyond direct practice, and then a credentialing and billing agency. That's a little bit about what I've done. But this conversation is really about how really changing our CEO mindset and behaviors and what it's done for me, not only as a CEO that has shifted to a founder, and those are totally separate roles, right? But also a mom, a therapist, a human being, a disruptor in so many ways. And I just want, who really just was interested in protecting her peace. In the beginning, it wasn't about making money. I was just overextended, which many of you all can relate to, and constantly having to do more, or being compelled to do more, and even being conditioned to do more and to serve to depletion. And so for me, it was about why boundaries became my best strategy and partner in business, and why they were non-negotiable, and um, how I had to structure my time in order to actually protect my peace, but also how that mindset shifted my revenue in such a phenomenal way that led me from going from therapist to visionary leader. And I think this piece is just so critical for many of us because let's be honest, running a business is nice, right? We get sold on the freedom and the creativity and all of that, but it's also a little bananas. And I think you have to be a little delusional to be an entrepreneur, especially to be a full-time entrepreneur, because you are the backup plan for the backup plan, right? So I want to use this conversation, and as I often do with the CEO habits, is to kind of pull the curtain back, and let's talk about real strategy. Let's talk about the soul and the sanctity of being a mental health entrepreneur. And if that sounds good, just type sounds good in the chat, right? And so the first part of this, I want to talk about why boundaries are a CEO's best friend. And then we're going to loop into some other aspects there. But here's really what I need you to know. Here's the thing that is so, so critical. We love to talk about boundaries with our clients. Yes, tell them things like say no, honor your capacity, rest is productive, right? Or rest is restorative, rest is not earned, it's your birthright. But baby, how many of us are actually doing it in our own businesses, in our own lives? Right. I was in a conference just this past week speaking with a room full of Black women therapists. And one of the moderators or speakers asked how many of us were getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And it was very suspicious, the number of hands that did not get raised. And it's the reality for so many of us. But I want to tell you what boundaries really are. They are capacity management systems that protect not only your purpose, they protect your peace, but they also protect your profit, period, as the kids say, right? When I started to scale my business, I had to get really, really clear. I was building a business that served my life, or was I building or rearranging my life to serve the business? And if we are really honest with one another, we did the latter. Many of us, right? Was managing life in between running the business. The business was running us, and we were ran ragged, right? Like, if we're just going to be honest, I was burnt out because I didn't love the life that I had created for myself. I actually had recreated the traumatic and oppressive symptoms that actually caused me to leave agency in school and university because I replicated what I knew. I didn't actually unpack, I didn't address, I didn't name where I had been. And so I brought it with me, yes, into entrepreneurship, unintentionally, unconsciously, in a way that harms. Um, and I was saying yes to everything and calling it grateful and gratitude for opportunities when really I had poor boundaries. And so I had to make boundaries a part of my business plan and to make that non-negotiable. No meetings before 10 a.m. because mornings are for my spirit and for my safety and sanity. Because I know that I will spend the rest of my day serving others. I will spend the rest of my day on a to-do list, and there was no room for me, right? No work after 6 p.m. unless I choose to. So there are a few times a month where I will do a call at 8 p.m., but I end my day earlier to compensate for or to accommodate for the extra labor or the late time that I am choosing to work. But it is on my terms and not because I'm missing out or because I'm forced to. And I understand that this comes from a very privileged space in entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship is a privilege. right? Being able to create your own business gives you privilege. And so oftentimes we're used to weaponizing that opportunity against ourselves because capitalism and oppression are real things, right? They get embedded, they get learned, they get it's indoctrinated in our field and in our onboarding to this field. And so I also no longer work with people who do not respect my value, my intrinsic value, my personhood, the blackness, my womanhood, right? The intersectionality of my identity. I don't work with those people. And I don't work with people who don't value my time, right? And I hold that standard for how people interact with my team. And so these boundaries are ways that I honor my assignment without burning out on the altar. And I think that piece of the altar of everyone else's needs and expectations, and that includes my children, right? That includes my family, my loved ones, people that I deeply care for. And so again, boundaries are a strategy around a fulfilled life, a profitable life, a purposeful life. They're not punishment, right? And the people who when I reconciled that for myself, it kind of was like a gut punch. And I wonder if it was for you, but if it was, kind of just stay with me, right? Because now I want to show you how I structured my time around those boundaries, with those boundaries in place. And so this part is about structuring my time to protect my peace. So I want to give you just a peek into how I actually protect my peace on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And for me, protecting my peace protects my purpose and my assignment, which inevitably protects the profit, right? But the priority for me is peace. So I want to share a little bit about my rhythm. And I want to be honest with you that take what serves you and remix the rest, right? Because what aligns and honors my rhythm doesn't align and honor yours. Because part of this is in order for you to set boundaries that are restorative, that are purposeful, that are not punitive to you and to other people, is about returning to yourself and being in tune with what you need and how you serve, right? And how you show up, but also how you rest, how you receive joy, how you feel refilled, right? How you feel taken care of and seen. And so I have these themes, right? I like the organization, I like the structure. And when you structure your time, you own your time, which is really what allows you to create the freedom that we truly desire, that doesn't exist without structure, right? And so Monday really is my CEO day, which is also why this is called CEO Habits. It's my big picture kind of vision. It is my money meetings and sometimes my brunch. So after we finish this conversation, I'm taking my children to the pool because it's my CEO day. And what does my CEO brain needs? Rest so that my creative brain can kick in and serve. Because Tuesday through Thursday are my delivery days. They're client sessions from a consulting perspective. There's the speaking, the coaching, and Friday, I don't generally work on Fridays, but when I do, it's a creative and catch up, right? So this might be writing. This is daydreaming, y'all. This is vibing and reading or travel day, right? Or do nothing day. And having to protect that because in the beginning, I couldn't afford for Friday to be a day that wasn't filled, that wasn't calendared, right? That wasn't all meetings. Um, but the time blocks, I don't kind of live on a to-do list anymore. I live in the time blocks. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but I love a sticky note. But that sticky note, one is going to get lost. And that sticky note for me creates overwhelm, right? And the sticky note often captures the task. It very rarely captures the process. And this is the thing that we have to get really good at doing. And so mornings in my day, the days that I'm actually working, right? And not actually working, but delivering, which is different because sometimes we need days to ideate. We need days to create. We need days to dream. We need days to map, which is not always the delivery, but it is the prerequisite to the outcomes being fulfilled, right? And so mornings I reserve for deep work only because it's when my energy and clarity is highest, right? The afternoons, I will put in some admin work. I'll add in a meeting if I need to. I'll add in some margin, right? If I need to kind of catch up on things that don't require the same level of capacity, energy, creativity that deep work may require, right? And then evenings is closed, like Chick-fil-A on a Sunday. Okay. 90% of my evenings are closed, right? And that allows me to be ready and to ready and not resentful to show up and play full out, right? So if you see me online late at night, it's by choice. It's not out of obligation. It's not out of scarcity. It's nothing other than it's in alignment with the energy I have and how I'm choosing to spend that time. Here's the other piece. It's around boundary, what I call boundaried access. Everybody can't have the same level of access to you, right? Um, I like to use tools like my scheduler. So Acuity or Devsado, we actually have a custom platform with boundaries built in. You want a meeting? Great. Here's a link to book one. I'm not doing the back and forth. The link didn't work at 9 p.m. because I'm not working at 9 p.m., right? Um, so you can just stop glorifying the grind. I think that's so, so important. Productivity isn't the flex pieces, right? Especially in the world of automation where you can get a lot done that doesn't require your body or your brain. It is so, so critical that we are intentional about that piece. And now I really want to talk about how do we go from therapist to visionary leader, because this piece is, I think, oftentimes where we get stuck and we get stuck in the chair, we get stuck in the one-on-ones, we get stuck in hourly rates in ways that don't actually allow us to rest, that allow us to scale, that allow us to have legacy. And so this part is about mindset because this part took some healing and some unlearning. I used to think that my value was in how much I could do and give, how many clients I saw, how fast I responded, how much I produced. But the real conversation that I think we delay or even avoid is that employee thinking wrapped in entrepreneurship. And it was keeping me from actually leading. And I don't care if you're a team of one, a leader has to be present. Leadership qualities have to be present if you desire to grow. The mindset that shift that set me free was I am not the product, I'm the strategist. I don't care if I'm the one delivering the services. So I want to say that again for the folks in the back and that need to hear it. You are not the product, you are the strategist. And what that means is that you don't need to be in every meeting. You don't need to answer every email. The emails need to be answered, the meetings need to be held. Everything cannot require you. And I need for you also to hear that you are allowed to build a team that makes the vision work without me being in the middle of every transaction. They make the vision work without me being involved in every transaction, because otherwise the business does not run without you. The shift that allowed me to scale without sacrificing my sanity. It allowed me to grieve when my brother died, when my grandfather died, and most recently when my grandmother died, right? When I was navigating divorce, when I was navigating miscarriage. It allowed me to rest, to be human, and to still build an 8-figure brand that honors people. When my team members lost their family members, when they suffered from long haul COVID, it allowed us to let them have breathing room because everything didn't hinge on any one person. I stopped trying to be accessible all the time and started being effective. And this is so, so important. And for me, that's the work, going from helper to leader, right? From service provider to visionary, and from doer to decision maker. So, friend, I've been treating, if you've been treating your peace like an afterthought, your peace and your purpose, let this be a reminder that boundaries are not blocking your blessing. They're protecting your capacity to receive them. I'm going to say that again. Boundaries aren't blocking your blessings. They're protecting your capacity to receive them. So if you're ready to kind of step into your CEO, right, role with clarity, with peace, with power, just drop a comment below and let me know. What boundary are you committing to this week? And if you're a person that needs support and you're like, Ajetta, I know that I want to shift from the one-on-one work. I want to shift from the direct practice work. I want to diversify. We actually have two resources for you. One is my free 30 ways to diversify. workbook. It will help you brainstorm how you can diversify your skill set beyond direct practice. We also have, so if you can check the link in the show notes. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with another purpose-driven therapist who just needs a reminder. You are the visionary, not the vending machine. Yes? I'll see y'all next time.